Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Eclipse Kitchen. This is another classic that everybody knows and probably loves, Piggies in a Blanket. Although this iteration of the classic dish uses the Pillsbury Weiner Wraps instead of pancakes, and it's cooked in the oven instead of a frying pan. I normally pair these with the steamed broccoli and cauliflower with cheese, and the Piggies in a Blanket taste pretty good when dipping them in the plum sauce. Okay, let's pull up the recipe and see what you'll need for this. First thing you'll need is the dough. I personally go with the Pillsbury Weiner Wraps. If you're feeding more than just yourself, then I would use the Pillsbury pizza crust cut into 12 even-ish pieces. There's the breakfast sausage. If you're going to use the Weiner Wraps, then you only need about 6 links. 12 is for if you're using the pizza crust, so you don't waste the dough. It's always good to have flour on your counter for this. That way the dough doesn't stick to it. And the grass-fed butter. Like the stuffed pockets, this plus garlic, oregano, and basil finishes this off nicely, and it helps make this meal more satisfying. Alright, now on to the main portion of the show.
Right, cool. So, tonight is another staple. It's another one of my favorites. It's a quick meal. It's basically Piggies in a Blanket, but supper style, so I make mine a little bit more fancy. And instead of the pancakes, I use the Pillsbury Weiner Wraps. I find it works. It gives it a nice little sweetness instead of the pancake stuff. And I'm also going to get the oven going. There we go. So I got the oven started up for 375. For some reason this always likes sticking, and I think Pillsbury needs to go back on their how they do this type of stuff, because every time I've had it kind of do this on me. I'll fix that stuff in a second. But yes, so Pillsbury, fail at your stuff. So yeah, I have one that's kinda but that's probably from the pressure of the thing, which it doesn't really matter for me. These things are gonna get rolled anyways. I wanna make sure. I like bad stuff. The container stuff is on my dough. So yeah, basically this is gonna be a quick recipe. I already have my sausages all divvied out, so I don't have to worry. This just takes half a dozen, and you just basically roll them how you want. Make sure that it's that way. You can also roll them this way. I kind of like doing the short way because helps with that. I'm going to add a little bit of butter on top of them later. So you can either do it that way, or you can do it this way. Gives it a little bit less breading this way, but more breading this way. So it makes it a thinner, kind of more hot dog like thing, and then I just grip the edges. So you could either do it that way or this way. I prefer the shorter, the longer way rather than the shorter way. Just this way, you get them nice and even. Just put you there. Put you in the center, and I have plenty of space. So this is basically really quick. This is like if you're in a rush and you only have like maybe 20 minutes. It's a pretty quick meal. As you can see, I'm already almost done these. And I'm gonna go and start with this side here. Make sure that bad side stuff. While I remove some label on the. Okay. So give me meat sausage in the dough. Turn around, making sure that there's no little bits. And there's number 5 and the last one. And if you are doing for more than just one person, you can do 2 of these guys and use a dozen sausages. I like doing them with the sausage instead of hot dogs. Makes it a little bit more fun. So I got that now, and now is the time for me to put the butter stuff is kind of solidifying. That's right. I just want a little bit on top, just so I can add some garlic powder and Italian seasoning somewhere. It'll also give it a nice golden brown. There's your fat content. This part is like entirely optional. I just use a little bit of grass-fed butter with this, and then just brush it on. Throw my garlic powder on, and away we go. Very, very, very simple. Since you're probably figuring out by this point, a lot of my recipes are very simple. I try not to do anything fancy or too fancy, because if you're gonna have like kids helping you, it's better to have a simple recipe for them to learn how to cook than this big, huge, complex thing. So, and as you see, I'm like cleaning up the butter that I spilled just to make sure that that doesn't burn on, or that it doesn't burn while in the oven. So I'm just adding a little bit of garlic because I love garlic. And it's a nice spice to have. You don't have to do this step, but I kind of want to do it for the aesthetics. And because it tastes good. And because I'm experimenting tonight. Let's see what this tastes like. I already know what it tastes like without, so I just want to add a little bit of Italian seasoning on top, just to see what it tastes like. See if it goes with the maple infused sausages. Because it's already sweet and sweet and sweet. I want to add a little bit of a savory element, plus get my little bit of fat in here, because my sausages are pretty lean. So I'm going to make my meal as satisfying as I can. That's why I'm adding grass-fed butter on top. And I know I'm missing like a lot. I'm missing these guys a lot. Sorry. So yeah, usually if I'm going to top anything off, I'm going to definitely use oregano, basil, and garlic for my toppings. Just gives it a little bit of a nice taste to it. It's not overbearing, so if it does taste kind of then you don't have to do it next time. That's what I'll do the first time. I actually just making sure that I got all the toast stuff off my counter, and now I just have to wait for the oven to be. So that's that part. So I got my piggies and blankets already ready. And I'll be working on the other part in a moment. As soon as these guys are in. So, just have to wait for the opportune moment. And right, I need to do this. So yeah, basically when I'm cleaning this type of stuff, I usually put the soap right onto the thing, and then I just kind of use my fingers, smush it in, and then I rinse it off afterwards. So it is kind of a little bit goopy. I mean, this is like the fun part of washing dishes. And this will help get most of the greasy stuff off. So you're not like making your water all greasy. Because that tends to happen when you're cooking these recipes. So like, this is what I call direct soaping, because it'll cut down on having to clean everything. And plus I need this little bowl anyways. So that's rinsed off, ready to go, and I can just wash it up. And most of the grease is off. So. Okay, Evan, hurry up. Kind of getting a little hungry. So, yeah, so I got that ready. My dishes mostly wiped, and I need to re-wipe that counter. Oh look, nice and squeaky clean. The last little thing, this thing. But yeah, using the soap in with the, doing the soap with the little brush thing, you get pretty well all of it off. Washing the water. Or close to all of it. There we go. So I just have to wait for the oven to beep, and then I can go on to part 2, which is fairly easy to solve too. Very simple meal, still pretty satisfying. I enjoy this a lot. I really do enjoy these. And supper doesn't really have to be like a gigantic meal either. Just didn't like a. Yeah, that looks good. And then I just wipe my counters, make sure that everything's all white and clean. And there we go. So, while I'm waiting for that, as I'm making a mess of that, I need to make sure. So I am a diabetic, I have to take my insulin, so gotta remember to have that in my pocket so I can bring it upstairs. But yeah, fun part about being a diabetic, you have to take your insulin before you eat. But thankfully I don't exactly have to take as much as I used to. I'm down to basically a third of what I normally would take, so. And that's even with having a chocolate milk. Yeah. I know my endocrinologist would say, oh, you shouldn't be drinking that, it's full of sugar. I'm like, with this and my meal, I drop numbers, so I can afford to have this or to have a chocolate milk and Aero cookies and a few pieces of chocolate. I already take into account all that when I do my insulin, so. And it's taken me, what, almost 4 years to get down to this point and to be this stable. So, I mean, I started the intermittent fasting and all this for, what, 2 years ago? 2, 3 years ago, around there. So it's taken me a while just to get my numbers to be lower and stable. And doing intermittent fasting definitely works with diabetics. So you don't really have to have 3 meals a day and have to have carb all the time. I limit my carb down to about 25 to 50 grams, and I'm perfectly fine with that. In fact, it's gotten to the point where my body doesn't like a lot of carb, and there's the. So when I do have more carbs than I should, my body goes, nope, everything out. So it tends to. Okay, so this goes in for some 17 minutes. I mean, it goes between 15 and 17 minutes. I like having it at the higher number, so it cooks all the way through. You make sure that the dough is fully cooked. And I got my bowl right there for one thing. Because I love my vegetables, I could have my cruciferous vegetable. And maybe bits and pieces and such, but I love my vegetables so much, so I can have as much of this as I want, and my numbers won't change. Because this is a very, very, very fibrous vegetable, full of antioxidants, full of nutrition. So I go for this more than I would like the frozen mixed vegetables or canned corn or canned vegetables, period. I work with the broccoli and cauliflower a lot more, and it's a bit more fun too. So basically, got my veg. I usually go about half an inch to an inch of water in with the vegetables, just to give it enough that it's going to steam in the microwave. And then what I do is I take a paper towel, fold the corners in, and then this just basically claws onto, actually, I'll show you. So this basically just claws onto the bowl like that, and then that way it doesn't fall off the bowl as it's microwaving. It stays perfectly still and steams all the way through. And for the broccoli, it's usually about 3 to 5 minutes, depending on if you like yours really soft or really hard. It also depends on the size of the broccoli and cauliflower itself. So 5 minutes for me is good enough. It cooks everything pretty evenly. So I got that part. 15 minutes till that. And I have my bowl. So yeah. So that I have my water, which I always, when I have my meal, I always do my chocolate milk first, and then I switch right on to water. It just helps make you feel full and kind of. The milk definitely helps you fill in that gap if you don't have enough of a fat content. This will, like whole milk, will help satisfy your stomach, or satisfy you when you eat. What else do I need? Plum sauce for my thing, because that's the sauce that I normally use. So I normally use plum sauce when I'm doing these piggies and blankets. And the cheese spread is for the broccoli and cauliflower. And I will recommend, if you guys do have the Armstrong cheese spread, get that. Don't get the Cheese Whiz. 'Cause this, to me, doesn't taste like cheese. I mean, it has cheese flavor, but isn't like cheese. So I just use it because that's the only thing that we have at the stores. So I just get it because it's a cheese product. I mean, you can make your own Cheese Whiz. It's a very, very, very long process to do, but it is possible. You just take the brick of cheese and then you melt it, slowly melt it down. So you put it into like a glass bowl over boiling water, let it melt down, and then take it off the heat, let it solidify, and then you put it back on the heat, melt it down, and the more times you do that, the more it stays spreadable. And you could add a little bit of cheese, you can add garlic, whatever to it, make it your own. So, yeah, there's that. So you can make your cheese spread from scratch, or you can buy the cheese spread from the store. I just find it's quicker that way. You can also make a homemade cheese sauce. If you do the cheese sauce from the mac and cheese recipe, that is perfect for like your steamed vegetables. It's really good on steamed vegetables, but I don't really have the time. So I just do the quick mode because it's kind of a rush meal. This. Yeah. So that will have my side. Just waiting for the main course, which is 12 minutes away. Now I'm like da 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 because I have my kitchen clean already. This is what happens when I have a sink full and I'm washing dishes as I go along. I tend to run out of dishes to wash while I'm cooking. It's actually nice when you run into that problem, because then you're like, oh, I got a clean kitchen, I can go and eat right away. And that should be less than a minute. Good. So that's almost done. That's got about 10 minutes left. Okay, 11 minutes. But yeah, this is like a quick meal. It's about the same amount of time as doing the. I'm trying to think which recipe. Oh yeah, right. The salmon casserole. It's about the same amount of time for both prep and cooking time. So it is a quick meal. And those the stuffed pockets is another quick recipe as well. It should take maybe 10 minutes to prep them, and then 22 minutes in the oven. So, and they're very, very filling. Like, I can barely eat 1.5 of them, and I usually make 3 of them. So, take that off. And this is just reusable now. I don't have to worry about dirtying things and whatnot. And the bowl will be very, very hot. I'm used to that heat right now. I've done this far too many times. You know what I'm doing is shaking out the excess water. These vegetables love to soak in. So basically, you guys can see, but let's go. Why am I using my left and so my right? There we go. My right is a lot better when it comes to that. So basically, cooked broccoli is like this really, really bright color. So it goes from like a dark color to bright color, and then if you overcook it, it goes back to dark color. You don't want it to go back to that dark color, you want this lighter, or this light color. It'll be a little crunchy, but it's better having it crunchy than too soft and losing all the nutrition. So that's that, and then I just do 1 tablespoon of cheese spread, and that's it. So that's my side. I have 9 minutes left. And by the time that, oh right, I'm gonna squish that down. That's a bit of that. And then to help with the heating process and to keep the plate nice and warm, I usually put the plate on top of the bowl. And that way it keeps the underside stuff nice and toasty and still has vents for the hot air to escape. But there's that. It also will heat up the plate itself, especially if the underside or the what's in the bowl is like super hot. So you have like a homemade plate warmer basically. Trying to get all the. So one thing I don't like about this particular strainer is it likes holding on to particles of food. That's right. With what you get. Again, very simple, very simple, very straightforward. And I already know my counters are all pre-wiped, so. I always like wringing out my cloth as tight as I can. Just make it a little bit damp. That way, if I do have like a water spill, it soaks it up. And I don't have to worry about spreading water. It just soaks it into the cloth and I just wring it out. Let's see, 7 minutes, yay. Meant to grab the handle, not put my hand through the handle. Again, this is a very, very good recipe. Pretty filling. It is satisfying. It's satisfying for me. Probably for you guys, you probably would add like another side, like a garden salad to go with this meal. I don't, because I know this is going to fill me and make me go, that's enough food for now. And then I end up going between 18 and 20 hours not eating, so there goes my intermittent fasting. And I usually go to about 18 to 20 hours. 24 hours, that's when you can start like doing the long prolonged fasting, which is up to like 3 days. But my body can't exactly go that far, so I just go to the 18 to 20 hour mark. So that's all that. I'm just waiting for I got 6 minutes left till the other, and I'm already kind of salivating because I got my vegetables right there. I'm like, I want vegetables. I love my vegetables. So yeah, for my yogurt, for my dessert, and yes, this is kind of childish and everything. There you go. So yeah, I usually get like these yogurt cups. This has the built-in. It doesn't say it on the thing, but this has active live cultures, so you're getting your pre and probiotics within the yogurt. You don't have to get the specified stuff. As long as it's active live culture, you're automatically getting that. That's what some people don't really understand about yogurt. If it's not pasteurized, guaranteed it's going to have live culture, which this stuff is. And yes, it has fruit and stuff in it, but this, I've dropped numbers having this, so the protein to sugar ratio is a lot higher. Like, you get more protein with this type of yogurt, even with the sweetness of the fruit, than you would with regular yogurt. And I tend to go with the full fat yogurts, because then I'm getting that additional bit of fat in my meal, rather than getting like the 0 or the 1% pasteurized stuff. You can get plain yogurt, and I wish they would do like a Greek yogurt like this, because then you're actually getting a lot more protein. But for me, this is about a good amount for what I do, or what I have with my meal. So I do this with my dessert, as my dessert, with the arrowroot cookies and 4 pieces of chocolate, and that's my dessert. And then my snack is basically what every person says is a no-no. Orville Redenbacher's extra buttery popcorn. That's what I have as my snack. It doesn't bump my numbers up. I already incorporate my numbers to include all this entire meal. So I have my snack, I have my dessert, I have my drink. Well, I tentatively call this my dessert. And then I have my main meal. And that's almost ready. I'm going to turn off the oven. So, pro tip, when you cook things in the oven, if there's like 2 to 3 minutes left, turn off the oven. And what will happen is it'll let the residual heat of the oven cook the rest of the food. And it helps rest it at the same time, so you don't have to take it out of the oven, set it on the counter, and let it rest in the cold air while it cools down. You can let it rest for the 3 minutes there, and then put it onto the countertop for 2 minutes, and that's it. It's things like that that I've learned from my grandmother, which is really nice that I learned all this stuff. I learned most of my cooking from my grandmother, and the rest of the stuff I've learned on my own from years of cooking and years of experimentation. So, yeah. 2 more minutes, yay! But yeah, that's basically my entire meal for tonight. Let's get these guys on, which it'll be in a second. It'll be soon. Just kidding. My counter's right. There's the final minute bell. So usually I just go, okay, there's like a minute left. I usually go like a minute more than what I actually need for cooking time. Ooh, these look nice. These look nice and pretty. So, basically, that's what these guys are. Where's the songs? Songs. There. Huh. So yeah, basically, that's what these guys look like. And here's the big, huge hot dog looking one. But these are like fun, quick meals, or fun, quick little thing. And yes, adults can have this too. It's not really a kid's thing. Especially if you fancy them up a little bit. But there we go. That's the entire meal. It's really good. And the garlic and Italian seasoning actually add another layer of flavor. So I usually go about half of the bowl with the plum sauce, and that's it. I just find plum sauce works with a lot of different things. It definitely works with sausage, it works with fish. I've even done it with French fries, and that's actually really good flavor, surprisingly. But yeah, so that's the entire meal. So I got my broccoli cauliflower, got my Piggies and blankets, got my yogurt, got my chocolate milk. Entire meal in about, what, half an hour? So yeah, that is that.
Well, that's pretty much it for making this meal. Hope it was somewhat enjoyable and educational. Look forward to the next episode of Eclipse Kitchen. Here's where you could find me and my counterpart. Follow us on Twitter and join our Facebook group where you'll get regular updates on what's going on. Subscribe to this channel and our main channel to see all the wonderful content we'll bring to you. And last but not least, become a Patreon and donate to our coffee to show your support for more content like this and more. You all have a great day.